think about different things that I wasn't thinking about. It really was like a mind shift.
Yeah.
So that's something I really enjoyed about it. One thing I also want to know then, given the climate we're in, given everything that's been going on, and especially with you saying that you do make time to do it every single day, how do people ensure that they are doing that? Because I'll say in one of my best friend group chats, we're always like talking about mindfulness, talking about meditation, and then we'll catch up in a week and be like, oh, so did you meditate this week? And it was like, and so and I don't feel it's that I don't want to do it or that it's not something that, I think I would benefit from. I don't know, just time just flies, and it's not it's an excuse. It's an excuse. But it's how are we making sure, especially because now with everything that's going on, and even after, not to say that this will be over, but to say when let's say people are in a lighter state of mind, for example, how are they still ensuring that they're making that time to do
Um, the thing about us, which is we we in the West, we wait until something goes wrong to meditate. When the purpose of meditation, at least one of the purposes of meditation, is to meditate so that you're prepared when things go wrong. So sometimes you talk to some, like I have friends too who they can't keep that commitment, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm going through a lot of stress lately. I should start doing your meditation. And I'm like, you could avoid all that stress if you started doing it 2 years ago. All right. So all the stuff that's happening now, I'm affected by it, but I'm not in the same state that everybody else is in. I'm able to deal with this and a whole lot more because some of the things that happens during meditation, which I don't want to scare anybody off, but at the moment of Satori, just before you break through and you have this experience of enlightenment, you go through a lot of suffering. So there's a suffering, amount of suffering that leads up to that. And the amount of suffering that you go through is the worst amount of suffering you can ever go through. So every possible thing that's ever happened in human culture, within our human development, all that stuff is experienced. So every murder is experienced, every death is experienced, every rape is experienced, every assault is experienced, every assassination is experienced, every type of hunger is experienced, every type of pain is experienced, every type of mental pain is experienced before you break through. So after you have an experience like that and survive that, this is nothing. And don't get me wrong, what's happening is brutal. But to survive all of that and to have this happening, I'm able to withstand that because of surviving those states before hitting Satori. So
So it's more about being preemptive then
yeah,
than just.
yeah. So the advice is don't wait for something to go wrong to meditate. Do that in preparation of things going wrong, because meditation prepares you for the worst day of your life.
Okay, wow. No, that's that. It reminds me, I don't want to make the comparison because I'm not well versed in either art, but it reminds me when people say when they're working out, especially, and you reach that point where you feel like you can't do it anymore and you have to push through at that moment.
Do
The
that
way you're
last
saying
breath.
it, it's almost like, yeah, you have to push through, and that's when you kind of can get over that hurdle. So it does remind me of that, and it's interesting. I do believe that, there's especially when you're doing it consistently and you are like going up the levels as you have with the energy, for example, that you're experiencing different things, and you're right, and with it being spiritual enlightenment, the whole point is to keep ascending. So
Yeah.
that definitely makes a lot of sense to me then. Also, I was wondering then,
But
especially because we.
let me just say though, I'm not recommending anyone to do that. That's a
Okay.
personal choice. So I'm not saying if you join up, you got to do all that. You don't have, you can stay at level 1 and not worry about any of that. But because I'm the type of person that I want it all. So I realized I had to go through that personal torment before moving into the other stages, to the point where you hit your peak, where you hit Satori. But I'm not recommending anyone should do that. But if that's your thing, you have to look forward to that, because that will happen.
And I think it's important that you mentioned that, because having that kind of level system is that, because you're right, some people, everyone has their limit or where they see themselves in the, you know what I mean? So they may not everyone is thinking about that. Not everyone wants that at the end of the day. And that's a very good
Yeah.
point. So I'm
And
glad that you meant.
not everyone's meant to have that. Right.
No,
So
right.
yeah, so that's the other thing too. So there's a certain type of person that's meant, who has the threshold or is able to develop that threshold to have that experience. Because once you hit that part right before Satori, I can't even tell you the pain, the physical, emotional, and mental pain you got to go through to hit that next peak. Because when I say all suffering, I really mean all suffering. It's not an exaggeration. It's all suffering. You even take on the suffering of animals.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why the first time I had Satori, I gave up meat. I haven't touched meat again in, is it 11 years now? That's what happened the first time I had Satori. I gave up meat because I understood the suffering of animals.
Wow. You know what? I really do because you can't because I follow, you know, people on YouTube who talk a lot about spirituality and stuff, and it's not something where you can just kind of like walk in, you kind of get this great benefit, you feel all these great things, and there's nothing that comes with that because that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So I definitely hear what you're saying, and nothing comes for nothing. So you know, there's always going to be a pull and push, and I really do hear everything you're saying. And I believe that. And I think it's important that people know that it's not just something, because I feel like that's also a thing with the Western world is like, because all this stuff that you're talking about, like how you were bringing up from the Eastern world is nothing new.
Yeah.
But
Like
in
5,000
the Western
years
world,
old.
yeah, when it comes here, it's suddenly like this, it's a trend, you know what I mean? It's gluten free, it's vegan,
Yeah.
it's
We
all
love our
these
trends.
things. Yeah, we exactly. So it's nothing that's new under the sun, but when it comes here, it's put into these little packages that are easy for people to, you know what I mean, consume and digest and be a part of. But if they want to see those long-term goals, there will be, you know, there's no pain, no gain. So I 100% hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.